Most people live in chaos, reacting to every distraction, chasing motivation that never lasts. But what if I told you there's a way to rewire your mind so that progress becomes automatic, decisions become precise, and your life runs on repeatable systems that silently compound into unstoppable results? Today you're going to learn how to build a systematic mind, and why once it's built, the system builds you. Chapter 1. Stop operating on impulse. You need to understand something right now. Most of the problems you face don't come from lack of intelligence, lack of resources, or lack of potential. They come from something far simpler, far more common, and far more destructive: impulse. The moment-by-moment emotional reactions that hijack your clarity, drain your energy, and derail the systems you're trying to build. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up and instantly react to whatever grabs their attention first. The phone lights up and they check it. A thought appears and they chase it. A craving hits and they obey it. They live as if every passing feeling is a command. They move through life as if their impulses are their leaders. But you're here to build something different. You're here to build a systematic mind. And that begins with one truth: impulse destroys consistency. Say it again. Impulse destroys consistency. Every time you act out of impulse, you break your rhythm. You break your structure. You break the flow you're trying to protect. You may not see it in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, impulse becomes the silent thief that steals your progress. Think about your mornings. Your mornings are the purest example of the battle between impulse and system. You know exactly what you should do. Wake up. Move your body. Drink water. Start your plan. Protect your focus. But what happens instead? You reach for your phone. You scroll. You check what other people are doing. You let the world tell your brain how to feel before you've even taken a breath. This is impulse. And impulse is expensive. The cost isn't always dramatic. It's subtle. It's the small delay that slowly becomes a habit. The habit that becomes a pattern. The pattern that becomes your identity. And suddenly you've become someone who tries but never completes. Someone who plans but never executes. Someone who wants progress but sabotages it with 10-second decisions. But listen carefully, you have a choice. At every moment. With every action. This chapter is about learning to see the choice before the impulse. It's about catching that split second where you decide who you're becoming. Because that's what impulses do. They build identities. And identities shape destinies. Think about how many times impulse has cost you long-term wins. You planned to eat clean, but an impulse pushed you toward the easiest option. You planned to study, but an impulse told you to check one video. You planned to work, but an impulse told you to rest for a few minutes. And you believed it. You obeyed it. You surrendered your future to a temporary feeling. That's the dangerous part. Impulse feels urgent, but it's never aligned with your purpose. Impulse doesn't care about your long-term goals. Impulse doesn't care about who you want to become. Impulse only cares about comfort right now. And comfort is the enemy of progress. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. You want to improve your fitness? Impulse tempts you with shortcuts and excuses. You want to save money? Impulse pushes you toward quick purchases that derail your plan. You want deep focus? Impulse distracts you with notifications, noise, and endless micro-interruptions. And here's the painful truth. Every system in your life becomes useless if you keep surrendering to impulse. You can have the perfect plan. You can have the perfect schedule. You can have the perfect goals. But if impulse is in charge, your systems will always collapse. So what's the solution? You don't fight impulse with more emotion. You don't fight impulse with motivation. You fight impulse with structure. Structure is the antidote. Structure is the shield. Structure is the blueprint for a calm, systematic mind. And the best place to start building structure is where your day begins. Your morning. Your morning is the foundation of your identity. Every system you create rests on it. That first hour decides whether you operate in chaos or clarity, whether you react or lead, whether you behave like a scattered mind or a systematic one. So here's the first rule. Your morning cannot belong to impulse. It must belong to intention. You wake up, and before the world pulls you in, you execute your system. A simple, repeatable morning routine. Nothing complicated, nothing dramatic. Just predictable actions that anchor your mind in discipline. Drink water. Move your body. Make your bed. Sit in silence. Choose your top priorities. These are not tasks. These are signals. Signals to your brain that you are in control. Signals that tell your mind, we operate on structure, not impulse. You might think that sounds too simple to matter, but simplicity is the entire point. Systems don't need to be complicated. They just need to be consistent. That's the key. Consistency beats intensity. And impulse destroys consistency. This is why your morning system matters. It teaches you the skill of pausing before reacting. It forces you to create space between the stimulus and your response. And in that space, your identity is formed. Consider how powerful that truly is. Most people never pause. Most people never reflect. Most people never choose. They react. They obey. They follow feelings like their instructions. They call it personality. They call it preference. They call it, this is just who I am. But it's not identity, it's impulse dressed as identity. And you don't need to live like that anymore. You have a choice now. A real choice. A deliberate choice. You're building a mind that operates on systems. Consistent, intentional, controlled systems. You're building a mind that is stable under pressure, calm under stress, and focused under distraction. A mind that responds instead of reacts. A mind that leads instead of follows. To shift from a reactive mind to a systematic one, start small. Start with the first 5 minutes of your day. In those 5 minutes, refuse to operate on impulse. You train your mind to pause. You train your mind to choose. You train your mind to act with intention. You'll feel resistance at first. That's normal. You're breaking the old patterns. You're interrupting the autopilot. You're rewiring the internal wiring that has been built through years of impulsive behavior. But every time you choose structure over impulse, something powerful happens. Your system becomes stronger. Your identity becomes clearer. Your mind becomes quieter. That's the transformation you're here for. Because once you learn to stop operating on impulse, you unlock a new level of discipline. And discipline becomes your operating system. Discipline becomes the force that carries you. Discipline becomes the foundation for every system you build in the chapters ahead. You just completed the first step. You stopped reacting. You started choosing. And now you're ready for the next evolution of a systematic mind. You learned why impulse destroys consistency. Now let's move deeper. Chapter 2, Build mental infrastructure, not motivation. You've been told your whole life to get motivated, to wait for inspiration, to hype yourself up, to feel ready. But here's the truth almost nobody wants to hear. Motivation is unstable. Motivation is inconsistent. Motivation is emotional fuel, and emotional fuel runs out fast. That's why you start strong and fade. That's why you get excited then disappear. That's why you push for 2 days then collapse for 2 weeks. You need to hear this with absolute clarity. Motivation spikes. Motivation crashes. Motivation lies. And that's exactly why you can't build your life on it. If you want a systematic mind, if you want consistent progress, silent discipline, and real transformation, you need something stronger, something predictable, something durable. You need mental infrastructure. Mental infrastructure is the opposite of motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Infrastructure stabilizes. Motivation depends on emotion. Infrastructure depends on structure. Motivation says, I feel like it. Infrastructure says, this is what we do. That's the key. Motivation fades. Systems stay. Say it again. Motivation fades. Systems stay. This is how top performers separate from everyone else. They don't rely on feelings. They don't rely on hype. They don't rely on the perfect mood or the perfect moment. They rely on frameworks, predictable, repeatable systems that activate action even when their emotions don't cooperate. Think about that for a moment. The people you admire, the people who win, the people who execute consistently, are not more motivated than you. They simply built mental structures that carry them forward when their enthusiasm dies. Because enthusiasm always dies. Always. It's not a defect. It's human nature. Let me walk you through this. You wake up one day feeling inspired, determined, ready to change everything. You plan. You organize. You tell yourself this is the new version of you. But the next morning, you feel tired. You feel distracted. You feel unprepared. And what happens? The plan collapses. The identity dissolves. The new you returns to the old patterns. Why? Because you built your future on emotion, not infrastructure. You built on weather patterns, not blueprints. You need a mind that doesn't ask, "How do I feel?" but instead asks, "What is the system?" You have a choice. Build a life powered by emotion or build a life powered by structure. Only one of them lasts. Let's look at the people who operate at the highest level: athletes, creators, business leaders, researchers. Their advantage isn't motivation. It's systemization. They run on rituals. They run on schedules. They run on frameworks that tell their brain exactly what to do long before their feelings are consulted. That's the secret. Their system acts first. Their feelings follow later. You need the same thing. Not more motivation. More system. More structure. More predictable architecture. You need what I call mental infrastructure, the internal scaffolding that holds your discipline in place. So what does mental infrastructure look like? It starts with microsystems. Small, simple, repeatable structures that remove decision-making and eliminate emotional hesitation. Let's go through 3 powerful examples. 1. Automatic start rituals. An automatic start ritual is a trigger that tells your brain, it's time to begin. It's not dramatic. It's not complicated. It's simple and repeatable. Writers have them. Athletes have them. High performers in every field have them. For you, it might be putting on your running shoes, opening your laptop and setting a timer, making a cup of coffee and sitting in the same chair, playing the same focus playlist, clearing your desk before starting. The ritual doesn't matter. The consistency does. The moment your ritual begins, the system activates. The mind follows the pattern. The emotions don't get to negotiate. That's infrastructure. 2. Pre-scheduled tasks. Motivation wants flexibility. Infrastructure wants clarity. Top performers don't try to fit things in. They schedule them. They lock them in place. They remove the need to think about timing, energy, or mood. Something matters, it gets scheduled. If it's scheduled, it becomes non-negotiable. And here's the real magic. When your tasks are scheduled, your brain stops wasting energy debating what to do next. No debate. No negotiation. No impulse. Just clarity. You have a choice. Let your day push you around or schedule it and take control. That's mental infrastructure. 3. Energy allocation. Most people plan their day based on time. System thinkers plan based on energy. You have high energy hours and low energy hours. You have windows of sharp focus and windows of mental fog. You must assign your most important tasks to your highest energy moments. This is intelligence. This is leverage. This is systemization. When you structure your energy instead of relying on motivation, your output skyrockets. Not because you try harder, but because you place your effort where it actually counts. This is what a systematic mind does. It doesn't rely on emotional waves. It builds internal architecture. And here's the truth you can't escape. If you don't build the structure, your emotions will run your life. If you don't build the system, your impulses will make your decisions. If you don't build the infrastructure, your future will always depend on how you feel today. But you're done living that way. You're done waiting for motivation. You're done hoping for inspiration. You're done relying on emotional spikes to build a disciplined life. You're building something stronger now. Something stable. Something sustainable. Something intentional. You're building a mind that acts from structure, not from emotion. You're building routines that override hesitation. You're building rituals that remove doubt. You're building clarity that silences chaos. Remember the mantra, motivation fades. Systems stay. Say it again. Motivation fades. Systems stay. That is the foundation of the systematic mind. You don't need permission. You don't need hype. You don't need the perfect moment. You need infrastructure. Because once the infrastructure is built, even a simple one, you no longer depend on mood. You operate on design. And design is stronger than emotion. Design is stronger than impulse. Design is stronger than doubt. This is the shift. This is the evolution. This is where your new identity begins. Now that you've separated yourself from motivation and started building the foundations of structure, it's time to go deeper. It's time to learn how to think in processes instead of problems. Chapter 3: Think in processes, not problems. Most people wake up and immediately look for problems. They wake up and ask, "What's wrong?" They scroll through news, check messages, worry about deadlines, and complain about obstacles before they even take action. This is the mindset of reaction. The mindset of chaos. The mindset that keeps people spinning in circles. If you want a systematic mind, you must make a shift. A powerful, deliberate shift. From asking, "What's wrong?" to asking, "What's the process to fix this?" That's it. That's the difference. That's the transformation. Think about the workplace. Most employees, even top performers, complain about tasks or challenges. They focus on the problems, how unfair the system is, how complex the project is, how the tools are broken. And then what? They stagnate. They waste energy. They get frustrated. They fail to produce consistent results. Now imagine a person who asks one question instead. What's the process to solve this? They break it down. Step 1. Step 2. Step 3. They allocate resources. They check what they can control. They take deliberate, repeatable action. And here's the difference. Progress happens. Calm happens. Clarity happens. This is the power of process thinking. Problems shrink when processes grow. Say it again. Problems shrink when processes grow. Repeat this phrase until it sticks in your mind. Because most people waste decades focusing on what's wrong while ignoring what works. And what works is process. What works is system. What works is structure. Let's take a fitness example. Imagine you want to lose weight. Most people ask, "Why am I not losing weight?" They panic. They blame genetics, metabolism, or time constraints. And the result? They quit. Or they try the latest fad, fail, and repeat the cycle. Now think in processes instead. Break it down. Step 1. Plan your meals for the week. Step 2. Schedule workouts for 3 sessions per week. Step 3. Track progress consistently. The problem doesn't disappear immediately. You still face obstacles. You still have cravings, tired days, and social temptations. But because you are executing a repeatable process, the chaos doesn't control you. The problem becomes smaller because the system is bigger. The same applies to work. Deadlines, difficult projects, and unexpected errors don't vanish, but when you focus on process, you know exactly what to do next. You map out the tasks. You assign priorities. You track completion. You don't waste energy on panic. You act strategically. And that's exactly what separates high performers from everyone else. High performers don't eliminate problems. They shrink them. They shrink them by growing processes. Problems shrink when processes grow. Say it again. Problems shrink when processes grow. This repetition is not a gimmick. It's a mental anchor. Every time you say it, your brain begins to rewire itself. You start scanning for solutions instead of obstacles. You start evaluating steps instead of spinning in frustration. You start thinking strategically instead of emotionally. Let's be clear, solution-based thinking is not natural for everyone. Humans are wired to react first, complain second, and act rarely. But the systematic mind rewires this wiring. And here's how you do it. Pause before reacting. When a problem appears, stop. Don't dive into panic or complaint. Breathe. Create a mental space between stimulus and response. Ask the process question. Instead of "What's wrong?" ask, "What steps can I take right now?" Make it specific. Make it actionable. Execute the smallest first step. Start the process. The first step builds momentum. It signals to your brain that progress is possible. Repeat the system. Small actions compound. Microprocesses grow into mastery. Problems shrink in their presence. This isn't theory. This is applied neuroscience. When you repeatedly ask, "What's the process?" your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning and decision-making, strengthens. Your amygdala, the part that triggers stress and panic, weakens. You literally train your brain to stay calm under pressure and act strategically. Consider crisis situations. When disaster strikes, when deadlines loom, when everything feels like it's falling apart, the average person panics. They ask, why me? Why now? They spiral. They freeze. But a systematic mind? They ask, what is the next step? They act. They iterate. They move forward. And movement, no matter how small, is the antidote to panic. Process thinking creates movement. Movement destroys paralysis. Paralysis is the true problem. Impulse magnifies it. Process shrinks it. Here's the brutal truth. If you keep asking, what's wrong? You will keep attracting frustration. You will keep spinning in circles. You will keep wasting your potential. Problems grow when you obsess over them. Problems shrink when you systemize them. That's why every high achiever focuses on process first, emotion second. They don't ignore problems, they neutralize them. They shrink them by growing systems. Let me give you a practical framework to start today. Identify recurring challenges. Look at your work, health, or personal life. Write down the problems you face regularly. Design step-by-step actions. For each problem, outline a small, repeatable process. Keep it simple. Keep it consistent. Commit to execution, not perfection. Start with imperfect action. Refine it as you go. Progress beats analysis paralysis every time. This is not optional if you want a systematic mind. This is required. Repetition will make it instinctive. Daily practice will make it automatic. And automatic systems don't just solve problems. They neutralize stress, eliminate hesitation, and create calm authority in every area of life. You have a choice. React to problems or grow processes. You have a choice. Spin in frustration or act strategically. You have a choice. Stay chaotic or systemize. The systematic mind always chooses processes. Always. Without debate. Without hesitation. Because systems are predictable. Systems are repeatable. Systems are stronger than feelings. Stronger than fear. Stronger than impulsive reaction. You are training your brain to think in steps, not spirals. To act in order, not in panic. To solve strategically, not emotionally. And here's the key. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Eventually, process thinking becomes instinctive. Problems shrink automatically. Frustration loses its power. Calm becomes your default. That's the essence of systematic living. That's the transformation you are creating. That's the power of thinking in processes, not problems. So remember the phrase. Repeat it until it is wired into your mind. Problems shrink when processes grow. And now that you've learned to convert chaos into strategic action, it's time to layer in structure that eliminates unpredictability entirely. Chapter 4. Structure eliminates chaos. Most people think chaos is external. They think chaos happens to them. They blame traffic, technology, coworkers, family, or the news. They say, if only the world were calmer, I could focus. If only life were simpler, I could succeed. Here's the truth you need to hear. Chaos is not an accident. It's a lack of structure. Say it again. Chaos is not an accident. It's a lack of structure. Every time you feel overwhelmed, scattered, or mentally exhausted, it's not because life is inherently unfair. It's because your internal systems, the routines, the processes, the environments, are broken, absent, or inconsistent. Think about decision fatigue. By the end of the day, your brain is drained. You have made hundreds of small decisions without realizing it. What to wear, what to eat, which emails to answer first. Every tiny choice steals mental energy. By the time the big decisions arrive, you are tired. You are impulsive. You are reactive. You are chaotic. That's what a lack of structure does. It erodes your focus. It hijacks your energy. It leaves you at the mercy of distraction and impulse. Consider your environment. Is your desk cluttered? Are notifications constantly pinging? Are your apps and files scattered like debris? The external world is a reflection of your internal order or disorder. When your environment is chaotic, your mind cannot function optimally. You feel stressed. You feel slow. You feel trapped. And you reach for quick fixes, scrolling, snacking, procrastinating, which only compounds the problem. That's why structure is non-negotiable. Structure protects your energy. Structure channels your attention. Structure gives your mind boundaries that allow clarity to emerge. Let's be clear, structure does not mean rigidity. It doesn't mean scheduling every second of your life with a military timetable. It means creating predictable frameworks that reduce decision load and eliminate unnecessary chaos. It means designing your life so that your brain can focus on the things that matter, not the things that distract. This is where environmental design comes in. The world you inhabit can either drain you or support you. Look around. If your desk, workspace, or bedroom is cluttered, your mind will mirror that disorder. Every pile, every open tab, every unread notification creates cognitive friction. Remove it. Clear surfaces. Simplify spaces. Make the path to action obvious and frictionless. Your brain craves order. Give it that order and it will reward you with focus, calm, and clarity. Next, think about routines. Your daily schedule is a map of structure. Without a clear plan, your day is reactive. You chase tasks as they appear. You respond to everyone else's priorities. You live at the mercy of interruptions. But when you design your routines, you create consistency. You know exactly what comes next. You know exactly what is important. You eliminate the mental chaos of indecision. And then there's calendar hierarchy. Most people schedule meetings, tasks, and random errands without strategy. They cram, they overcommit, they double book. The result? Chaos, stress, guilt, failure. Top performers use a hierarchy. They divide tasks into categories: critical, important, secondary. They schedule the most important work during their high-energy hours. They create blocks of focus time. They respect the calendar as a tool, not a suggestion. This is structure in action. This is the difference between wandering through chaos and moving through clarity. Simplifying daily choices is another cornerstone of structure. You have to decide what truly matters and what is noise. Reduce trivial decisions. Standardize meals, clothing, and repetitive routines. Make choices automatic. The less your brain is forced to decide about minor things, the more energy it has for major things. Let me give you a concrete example. Morning routines are prime candidates for simplification. Decide tonight what you will wear, what you will eat for breakfast, what task you will tackle first. Don't leave it to chance or mood. When you eliminate the small decisions, you free your brain to operate at peak efficiency on the things that drive progress. Structure also applies to digital life. Notifications off. Email time scheduled. Social media allocated. Tabs and files organized. One-click access to everything you need. Digital clutter is mental clutter. Reduce it and your mind feels lighter, faster, and more controlled. Here's the principle you must internalize. Every system you put in place, environmental design, routines, calendar hierarchy, simplified decisions, acts as a force field against chaos. Without them, your mind will default to disorder. With them, you gain energy, focus, and calm. And repetition is the key. You cannot build structure once and expect perfection. Every day, apply it, reinforce it, repeat it. Your environment must be maintained. Your routines must be followed. Your calendar must be updated. Your decisions must be streamlined. Because without repetition, structure dissolves. And without structure, chaos returns. Chaos is not an accident. It's a lack of structure. Say it again. Chaos is not an accident. It's a lack of structure. Here's a simple action plan to apply this chapter today. Clear your environment. Remove unnecessary clutter. Organize your desk, files, and digital workspace. Make everything visible, accessible, and purposeful. Implement a daily routine. Start small. Pick one morning or evening routine to execute consistently. Protect it from interruption. Repeat it daily. Prioritize and schedule. Use calendar hierarchy. Block out focus time for your most important work. Reduce random tasks. Automate decisions wherever possible. This is the first layer of building a systematic mind. You're not reacting to the world anymore. You're creating conditions where your mind can perform at its highest level. Here's the truth most people ignore. Chaos is exhausting, but structure is liberating. It frees mental energy. It reduces stress. It creates a sense of control. And control is the foundation of consistent, silent progress. Every highly successful individual, every top performer, every person you admire, without exception, they have structure. They have systems. They have routines. They do not leave life to chance. You are learning to think the same way. So here's your takeaway. Stop blaming the world. Stop blaming circumstances. Stop believing chaos is unavoidable. Chaos is not an accident. It's a lack of structure. Build structure and the chaos fades. Protect structure and progress becomes inevitable. Reinforce structure and the systematic mind grows stronger every day. You've now learned how to neutralize mental disorder, control your environment, and simplify your decisions. You're ready to take that calm, structured approach and translate it into consistent progress that works quietly in the background. The next step takes this even further. It's the hidden engine of transformation, the power of silent progress. Chapter 5. Systems create silent progress. Most people chase progress like it's a flash of inspiration. They want dramatic wins, sudden breakthroughs, visible results. They want applause. They want recognition. They want instant validation. That's not how real progress works. Not deep, lasting progress. Not the type of transformation that builds a systematic mind. Real progress is silent. Real progress is consistent. Real progress grows in the background quietly until one day you look up and realize you've changed. This is the power of systems. Systems create momentum without requiring constant effort. Systems produce results without depending on emotion. Systems remove the noise, the hype, and the chaos from your life. Let me repeat it. Let your systems speak for you. Say it again. Let your systems speak for you. Notice how most people try to force results. They rely on motivation. They push hard for a few days. Then life interrupts. Then motivation fades. Then everything collapses. Their progress is loud, but short-lived. It's flashy but fragile. Now, compare that to someone who runs on systems. Their progress is quiet. Repetition does the work. Habits compound. Workflows automate. Weekly reviews refine action. And over time, results appear. Sometimes suddenly, but always built on months of silent effort. Let's take fitness as an example. A person chasing motivation will exercise when they feel like it. Sometimes they work out. Sometimes they skip. They celebrate bursts of effort and feel guilty for missed days. Progress comes inconsistently like a wave and frustration follows. Now look at someone running on a system. They have a schedule. They have automatic triggers. They track workouts. They plan meals. They check progress weekly. The effort is consistent. They may not feel inspired. They may not even notice the improvement day to day. But over time, the results are undeniable. Silent, unstoppable, compounding progress. Let your system speak for you. The same principle applies to work. Imagine you want to grow your career or build a business. Motivation alone will not carry you. You will start and stop, chase trends, react to every new opportunity, and burn out. But if you implement systems, automated workflows, scheduled tasks, structured meetings, weekly reviews, your work compounds quietly. You may not see it every day, but your output increases steadily, invisibly, efficiently. This is why top performers and leaders never rely on inspiration. They rely on structure. They rely on repeatable, measurable actions that accumulate over time. Their systems do the talking. Let's break down 3 examples of how systems create silent progress. 1. Compounding habits. Habits are the smallest units of your system. When repeated consistently, they accumulate power. One habit alone may seem insignificant, but when combined with other habits over weeks, months, and years, the result is enormous. Think about reading 10 pages every day. Small, right? Insignificant, some would say. But over a year, that's thousands of pages of learning. Over a decade, it's mastery. Or consider saving money. A single small deposit, repeated weekly, quietly grows into substantial wealth over time. Compounding habits don't make noise, but they build unstoppable momentum. Let your system speak for you. The habit itself is silent. The result is loud. 2. Automated workflows. Automation is another system that reduces mental friction and allows progress to continue without conscious effort. Email templates, recurring tasks, scheduled posts, automated reminders, these are all systems that keep you moving forward even when you are tired, distracted, or unmotivated. Imagine having your work processes automated so you don't need to think about repetitive decisions. Your energy is reserved for high-value action. The system handles the repetition. You focus on growth. You focus on execution. Automation turns effort into leverage. It makes your progress invisible to the outside world while unstoppable behind the scenes. Let your system speak for you. 3. Weekly review cycles. Most people never reflect on their progress. They operate in a reactive cycle. Task, respond, distract, repeat. A weekly review is a simple but powerful system. At the end of every week, review your accomplishments. Evaluate what worked. Identify what didn't. Adjust your process. Plan the next week deliberately. This keeps your system alive. This keeps your work focused. This creates momentum. And here's the secret. Nobody notices your review, but it prevents wasted effort, prevents chaos, and ensures the system compounds your progress consistently. Let your system speak for you. Now, let's take a moment to look at the mindset behind silent progress. You must shift from seeking validation to trusting your system. You must stop asking, "Is anyone noticing my work?" You must stop celebrating bursts of effort or punishing yourself for small setbacks. Instead, focus on execution. Focus on repetition. Focus on refining your systems. The systematic mind is not entertained by drama. It is not swayed by emotions. It is not distracted by applause or criticism. It functions quietly, predictably, powerfully. It accumulates results in the background until the transformation is undeniable. This is why consistency beats intensity. Intensity fades. Motivation fades. Effort without a system fades. But systems don't fade. Systems grow. Systems multiply. Systems build momentum silently, invisibly, relentlessly. And that is the ultimate advantage. Your results are no longer dependent on how you feel today. They are dependent on the design of your system, your habits, your workflows, your routines. Every top performer you admire, athletes, entrepreneurs, writers, leaders, they rely on systems first, emotion second. They understand that progress is silent. They understand that noise is irrelevant. They understand that repetition is the secret weapon. So you have a choice. Chase visible results with inconsistent effort or build systems that accumulate silent, unstoppable progress. Remember the mantra. Repeat it in your mind. Say it out loud if you must. Let your system speak for you. Say it again. Let your system speak for you. This is the foundation for every chapter you've learned so far. Systems reinforce structure, protect focus, and allow you to act without depending on motivation. Systems transform repeated action into growth. Systems turn small, invisible decisions into long-term results. And here's the kicker. Nobody sees the work behind a system. Nobody notices the repetition. Nobody applauds the quiet refinement. That's the point. You're building results beyond recognition. You're building mastery quietly. You're building a systematic mind. So start small. Pick one habit, one workflow, or one review process today. Implement it. Protect it. Repeat it. And watch as your progress grows silently, invisibly, inevitably. Let your system speak for you. Say it one more time. Let your system speak for you. When you've mastered silent progress, you will have laid the groundwork for the ultimate power of the systematic mind. Discipline that becomes unstoppable focus, and momentum that no external chaos can destroy. You've seen how systems create invisible growth. Now it's time to harness the force that runs all systems, discipline itself. Chapter 6. Discipline is the operating system. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's a personality trait, something you either have or don't. They think discipline is a heroic effort, a monumental act of willpower, or a rare spark of character. That's wrong. Discipline is none of that. Discipline is the operating system of your mind. It's the core software that runs all your mental systems. It is what converts your routines, habits, and processes into predictable, unstoppable action. Discipline is not emotion. Discipline is not motivation. Discipline is repetition, structure, and execution. Let me repeat that because it's crucial. Discipline is not motivation. Discipline is not emotion. Discipline is execution. And in the systematic mind, execution comes first. Always. Think about athletes. The top performers in sports don't rely on inspiration to show up. They don't wait for motivation to strike. The best runners, swimmers, and gymnasts, every day, every practice, every drill, they execute. They follow their systems. They follow their schedules. They follow their routines. Even on the days they don't feel like it. That is discipline. That is predictable execution. Think about coders. The most successful software engineers don't rely on bursts of genius. They don't wait for creative sparks. They write, debug, and iterate every day. They follow routines. They track progress. They make decisions automatic through structured workflow. That is discipline in action. Think about creatives, writers, painters, musicians. Discipline is what keeps them producing. Not inspiration. Not applause. Not the highs of emotion. Discipline forces action when the mood is low, when resistance is high, when everything inside tells them to quit. That's the secret. Discipline makes decisions for you. Say it again. Discipline makes decisions for you. When discipline is your operating system, your mind stops asking, "Do I feel like it?" Your mind stops asking, "Is this the right time?" Your mind stops negotiating with impulse or emotion. Execution becomes automatic. Discipline is the mechanism that transforms systems from theory into reality. Without discipline, your systems fail. Without discipline, your habits collapse. Without discipline, your routines disappear. All the planning in the world does nothing without predictable execution. Here's the key mindset you must adopt. Discipline is not a burden. It is freedom. Discipline gives you clarity. Discipline gives you energy. Discipline gives you control. Let's break this down into practical terms. 1. Daily predictable execution. Discipline is showing up, day after day, even when you don't feel like it. It's executing your routines with precision. It's completing the micro steps that compound into massive results. The systematic mind doesn't rely on luck. It doesn't rely on bursts of effort. It relies on consistency. Consistent execution, repeated over time, builds skill, builds results, and builds identity. If you want to get better at anything, you need this. Repetition plus structure plus execution. That's the essence of discipline. 2. Systems don't replace discipline, they amplify it. Systems are like the hardware. Discipline is the software that runs it. Without software, the hardware does nothing. Without discipline, your systems fail. Imagine a gym with all the equipment perfectly organized. The schedule is clear. The workouts are pre-planned. But no one shows up. Nothing happens. The system is useless. Discipline is the force that powers the system. It's the code that ensures the routines run. It's the mechanism that takes action even when you're tired, distracted, or resistant. Discipline makes decisions for you. Your system can sit quietly in the background, but discipline activates it. Discipline ensures it runs. Discipline enforces consistency. 3. Discipline compounds like habits. You've heard about habit compounding. Discipline is the engine behind it. Each time you execute, you reinforce identity. Each time you follow your system, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, capable, and in control. Each time you skip negotiating with impulse, you strengthen the operating system that keeps you moving forward automatically. Athletes call it showing up. Writers call it daily writing. Entrepreneurs call it execution over planning. It all comes down to discipline. 4. Discipline neutralizes chaos and emotion. Discipline is the ultimate equalizer. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're frustrated. It doesn't care if the world is messy. When discipline runs the system, chaos becomes irrelevant. When discipline runs the system, emotion becomes irrelevant. When discipline runs the system, results become inevitable. This is the mindset of the systematic mind. You no longer negotiate with life. You no longer rely on feelings. You operate on design. You operate on execution. You operate on discipline. 5. Practical steps to build discipline. Start small, but start daily. Pick one task that aligns with your long-term system. Do it at the same time every day. Protect it. Repeat it. Remove negotiation. Eliminate choice wherever possible. The more decisions you automate, the more energy discipline preserves for critical actions. Measure execution, not results. Discipline is about showing up. Results come later. Focus on predictable execution, not immediate feedback. Reinforce identity through repetition. Every consistent action signals to your brain, I am disciplined. I follow my systems. I do what matters. Here's the critical lesson. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to feel motivated. It's not about heroically resisting impulse once in a while. Discipline is the operating system that runs all other systems. Without it, your plans, processes, and structures collapse. With it, nothing can stop you. Every decision you make becomes easier. Every system you build becomes stronger. Every habit you form compounds. The systematic mind operates smoothly, silently, consistently. Discipline makes decisions for you. Say it again. Discipline makes decisions for you. And here's the subtle but profound truth. The more disciplined you are, the fewer decisions you need to make consciously. Your routines execute themselves. Your habits follow their course. Your systems function automatically. You are free from chaos, free from indecision, free to focus on the highest leverage actions in life. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not misery. Discipline is freedom through consistency. And this is why you must internalize it now. Because all the systems you've built in previous chapters, habits, processes, routines, silent progress, will only reach their potential when powered by predictable execution. So remember the mantra, repeat it, and let it sink in. Discipline makes decisions for you. With discipline as your operating system, every system becomes unstoppable. Every process becomes reliable. Every habit compounds. Every goal becomes achievable. You've learned the foundation of discipline. Now it's time to understand another hidden layer of power in the systematic mind: precision over speed. Chapter 7. Precision over speed. Most people believe progress comes from moving fast. They think if they hustle harder, push longer, or overload themselves, success will come quicker. They chase shortcuts, hacks, and instant wins. They call it productivity. They call it ambition. Here's the truth you must internalize. Speed without accuracy is wasted energy. Frantic motion creates noise, not results. Random bursts of effort create exhaustion, not mastery. Hustle without strategy is just chaos in motion. This is why the systematic mind prioritizes precision over speed. Precision compounds. Speed deceives. Say it again. Precision compounds. Speed deceives. Let me break this down. Real progress comes from deliberate, repeatable actions performed accurately over time. It doesn't come from rushing, guessing, or sprinting toward the finish line without a plan. Think about financial investing. The person who jumps at every hot tip, makes trades based on emotion, and chases the latest trend often loses more than they gain. The person who invests methodically, calculates risk, allocates assets, reviews performance, adjusts slowly over time, builds real wealth. The slow, precise investor wins quietly, consistently, and predictably. Now think about physical training. The athlete who lifts too heavy too fast, changes routines constantly, and jumps from program to program may feel progress initially, but will plateau, or worse, get injured. The athlete who focuses on perfect form, steady increments, and consistent repetition gains real strength, mobility, and endurance over months and years. Slow, precise, repeated action compounds results. Frantic effort often fails. Even creative work follows the same principle. Writers, artists, and musicians who rush to produce content without structure create inconsistent results. They hit deadlines, but the work lacks depth, refinement, and lasting value. The creators who focus on slow, deliberate execution, reviewing, editing, refining, produce work that compounds in quality over time. Precision beats speed every single time. Precision compounds. Speed deceives. The systematic mind understands this principle intuitively. Every system, process, and habit you've built up to now gains strength when executed accurately, not frantically. Every step matters. Every micro-decision matters. Every repetition matters. 1. Slow, accurate, repeatable actions. There's a profound difference between frantic action and slow precision. Frantic action is reactive. It burns energy. It triggers stress. It produces inconsistent outcomes. Slow, accurate, repeatable actions are intentional. They conserve energy. They reduce error. They create compounding momentum. For example, consider learning a new skill. The person who rushes, skips steps, and tries to cover everything at once often burns out. The person who takes deliberate steps, masters fundamentals first, and repeats consistently will eventually outperform the hasty learner tenfold. Precision builds foundations. Speed without accuracy builds fragility. 2. Compounding power of precision. Precision is invisible at first. You may feel like nothing is happening. Progress is quiet. Frustration can creep in. But just like silent growth in habits, precision compounds. Each precise repetition reinforces the system. Each correct step strengthens the process. Each intentional action compounds your results silently behind the scenes. The key mantra to internalize is, precision compounds. Speed deceives. Repeat it to yourself until it is wired into your thinking. Because the world celebrates speed, not quality. The world encourages shortcuts, hacks, and superficial wins. But lasting results belong to the person who prioritizes accuracy and repetition over rushed motion. 3. Systems that favor precision. Your system should be designed to enforce accuracy, not hurry. Checklists and protocols. In every field, business, fitness, finance, checklists reduce mistakes and maintain consistency. Incremental steps. Break down large goals into smaller, precise steps. Each micro-step executed correctly compounds over time. Deliberate review. Schedule regular evaluations of your progress. Correct errors, refine technique, adjust strategy. This keeps the system precise and ensures compounding results. Without precision, even the most consistent systems fail. Small errors multiply. Momentum turns into frustration. The systematic mind avoids this trap by building slow, deliberate habits that protect long-term gains. 4. Examples across domains. Financial investing. Slow, consistent allocation beats speculative rush. Warren Buffett didn't get rich overnight. He invested in companies methodically, researched thoroughly, and held for decades. The fast traders chasing trends often lose everything. Physical training. Olympic athletes don't train recklessly. They execute exercises with perfect form. They follow programs incrementally. They lift weights, run, and stretch according to precise protocols. Small, precise gains compound into elite performance. Creative work. Authors don't write entire novels in a single burst. Musicians don't master complex compositions in a day. Artists don't perfect masterpieces with frantic strokes. Repetition, refinement, and attention to detail create mastery. In every domain, the slow, precise approach wins. The hurried, frantic approach deceives. Feels productive. It looks busy. It often produces results, briefly, but it rarely lasts. Precision compounds. Speed deceives. 5. Practical steps to apply precision. Slow down to speed up results. Focus on accuracy first. Complete each step correctly. Speed comes naturally when systems are mastered. Refine, repeat, reinforce. Execute processes repeatedly with attention to detail. The systematic mind values repetition over frenzy. Measure quality, not volume. Track correctness, alignment with standards, and effectiveness. Results from speed alone are misleading. Eliminate multitasking. Precision thrives when attention is focused. Multitasking fragments energy, increases errors, and slows compounding. Every time you apply precision over speed, your systems grow stronger, your habits compound, and your results become inevitable. Here's the harsh truth most people ignore. Chasing speed is seductive. It feels urgent. It promises quick wins. It triggers dopamine. but it rarely produces lasting change. Precision feels slow. It tests patience. It looks invisible. But over weeks, months, and years, it creates unstoppable momentum. The systematic mind prioritizes compounding, silent results over superficial bursts. It invests in slow mastery. It executes processes with accuracy. It protects the system from error and chaos. And it waits for the compounding to transform small, accurate actions into extraordinary outcomes. Precision compounds. Speed deceives. Say it again. Precision compounds. Speed deceives. You now understand why silent systems outperform flashy action, why discipline beats motivation, and why predictable, precise repetition builds mastery. Your next step is to integrate all this with one of the most overlooked forces in human achievement: delayed gratification. Chapter 8. Cut the noise, cut the drain. Your mind is like a high-performance machine. It runs best on clean input. It performs predictably when energy flows unobstructed. But most people live in constant noise. Notifications ping. Chats distract. Emails demand attention. Unnecessary conversations steal energy. Random tasks scatter focus. And here's the truth you need to hear. Your mind cannot run clean if your environment is loud. Say it again. Your mind cannot run clean if your environment is loud. Noise is not just external, it's internal. It's the mental clutter from half-finished projects. The to-do lists that never shrink. The urgent tasks that aren't urgent at all. Every distraction drains your mental CPU, slows decision-making, and reduces the reliability of your systems. The systematic mind thrives on silence. It thrives on order. It thrives on unbroken attention. And to achieve that, you must ruthlessly cut the noise. 1. Digital minimalism. Most of your noise comes from digital sources. Phones, apps, notifications, social media, email, these are the primary drains on focus. Digital minimalism is the practice of reducing this noise. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Schedule email and messaging checks instead of responding constantly. Limit social media to specific time blocks, or eliminate it entirely during work or focus sessions. Imagine how much energy is wasted each time your phone pings. Even if you ignore it, your mind diverts attention. Your subconscious is interrupted. Your focus is fractured. When you minimize digital noise, your systems can run predictably. Your habits are no longer hijacked by interruptions. Your mental energy is preserved for what matters. Your mind cannot run clean if your environment is loud. 2. Scheduled silence. Noise is not only digital, it's social and environmental too. Unnecessary conversations, open office chatter, constant calls, background noise, all of these drain your attention and reduce system reliability. The systematic mind schedules silence. It blocks time for deep work. It turns off notifications. It creates protected windows where no interruptions are allowed. This is not optional. This is required. Without these windows, your habits, routines, and processes are constantly sabotaged by external chaos. Scheduled silence creates focus. Focus allows precision. Precision compounds over time into results. 3. Ruthless prioritization. Noise also comes from scattered tasks and unimportant obligations. Most people treat every task as urgent. They agree to every request. They chase every minor opportunity. This is a productivity death spiral. Every new obligation divides attention. Every small commitment chips away at energy. Every unimportant task diminishes your system's reliability. Ruthless prioritization is the antidote. Ask yourself, does this action move my system forward? Does it align with my priorities? Is it essential? If the answer is no, cut it. Remove it. Decline it. This is the principle the systematic mind uses every day. Energy flows where attention is focused. Unnecessary tasks are drains. Noise kills focus. Cut the noise, cut the drain. 4. Practical examples. Digital minimalism. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Batch email and messaging checks. Unsubscribe from newsletters that don't add value. Delete apps that serve no purpose. Scheduled silence. Block out 2 to 3 hours per day for deep, uninterrupted work. Use noise-canceling headphones if necessary. Set clear boundaries with colleagues, friends, and family. Ruthless prioritization. Make a must-do list instead of a generic to-do list. Delegate or eliminate tasks that do not contribute to core systems. Evaluate commitments weekly and remove anything non-essential. Implementing these strategies removes energy drains. It protects your mental CPU. It allows your systems to function predictably. 5. The impact on systems. Here's the crucial point. Even the best systems fail in a noisy environment. Habits collapse under distraction. Processes lose effectiveness. Execution falters when focus is fractured. Noise is the silent killer of systematic minds. It's the hidden friction that slows progress. It's the invisible obstacle that multiplies errors and wastes energy. By cutting the noise, you create conditions where your systems operate flawlessly. Your mental clarity improves. Your habits become automatic. Your routines become unstoppable. Your mind cannot run clean if your environment is loud. 6. Repetition and internalization. This chapter is simple, but it is powerful. The systematic mind must internalize this principle. Noise destroys focus. Noise drains energy. Noise undermines systems. And the antidote is equally simple. Reduce digital clutter. Schedule silence. Prioritize ruthlessly. Repeat after me, your mind cannot run clean if your environment is loud. Say it again. Your mind cannot run clean if your environment is loud. Every time you implement these strategies, your systems gain reliability. Every time you cut unnecessary input, your mind gains clarity. Every time you protect your attention, your progress accelerates silently. 7. Closing thought for the chapter. Cutting noise is not a one-time action. It is daily maintenance. It is a discipline. It is part of the operating system that runs your systematic mind. If you continue to let notifications, chatter, and scattered tasks dictate your day, your systems will fail. Your habits will crumble. Your progress will stall. But if you ruthlessly protect your environment, remove distractions, and prioritize only what matters, your systems will execute flawlessly. Your mind will run clean. Your habits will compound silently. Your results will become inevitable. So remember the mantra, repeat it, internalize it. Your mind cannot run clean if your environment is loud. Now that you've cleared the noise and eliminated drains on your attention, it's time to focus on the next critical layer of the systematic mind: delayed gratification, the hidden engine of long-term success. Chapter 9. Your identity must match your system. Most people wonder why systems fail. They set up routines, processes, and habits. They try to follow them. But months later they quit. They relapse. They fall back into chaos. Here's the truth. Systems fail when your identity contradicts them. You can design the perfect routine. You can build a flawless system. But if the person showing up every day is not aligned with that system, it will crumble. Systems are only as strong as the person operating them. This is not a minor detail. This is the foundation of everything. Be the person your system requires. Say it again. Be the person your system requires. 1. Identity drives execution. Think about it. Why do some people effortlessly follow routines while others fail despite having the same plans? Because execution is identity-driven. When your habits, systems, and routines align with who you believe you are, consistency becomes natural. You don't negotiate. You don't debate. You act automatically. Example: a person who identifies as a runner will naturally run, even on days they don't feel like it. They don't rely on motivation. They don't make excuses. Running is part of their identity. Their system works because their identity supports it. Contrast this with someone who says, "I want to be healthy," but still identifies as lazy, tired, or inconsistent. They set up a workout routine, but their system collapses. Motivation fades. Consistency fails. Why? Because their identity contradicts the system. Systems are not magic. Systems are mirrors. They reflect your internal identity. Be the person your system requires. 2. Identity shifts in fitness. Fitness provides a clear example. Many people want results: weight loss, muscle gain, stamina. They follow plans inconsistently, thinking the plan itself will deliver. But the plan alone cannot overcome identity. If you see yourself as someone who skips workouts, eats impulsively, and procrastinates, your system fails. If you see yourself as someone disciplined, committed, and consistent, your system thrives. Identity shift. I am the person who works out every day regardless of motivation. This small mental shift transforms effort into routine. It transforms friction into consistency. It transforms failure into silent, compounding progress. Be the person your system requires. 3. Identity shifts in productivity. Productivity systems fail when identity is misaligned. You can implement calendars, to-do lists, and task blocking techniques. But if your identity is I am easily distracted, or I'm bad with deadlines, the system collapses. You will ignore it, fudge it, or sabotage it subconsciously. Change your identity. I am the person who completes critical tasks before distractions. I execute before excuses. Once this becomes internalized, your system executes automatically. You follow routines without negotiation. Your habits reinforce your identity, and your identity reinforces your habits. This is the power of identity-driven systems. Be the person your system requires. 4. Identity shifts in leadership. Leadership is another area where identity dictates system reliability. A leader may implement processes to hold teams accountable, enforce standards, or drive results. But if their identity is I avoid conflict, or I don't like being firm, the systems fail. Accountability slips. Standards collapse. Momentum is lost. Shift identity. I am the leader who enforces clarity, models discipline, and expects excellence. Now systems function. Meetings are productive. Standards are maintained. Results compound. Leadership becomes predictable, reliable, and respected. Be the person your system requires. 5. How to align identity with system. Define your desired system clearly. Identify routines, processes, and habits that matter most. Ask yourself, what person must I become to execute this consistently? Adopt identity-based language. Replace statements like, I want to with, I am the person who. Repeat and reinforce daily. Write it down. Say it aloud. Act as if. Small actions build identity over time. Audit your behavior. Every action either reinforces your identity or contradicts it. Choose consistently. Identity is internal, but it shows externally in every repeated action. Systems are powerless without alignment. 6. Repetition and reinforcement. Let me repeat the key mantra because this chapter is pivotal. Be the person your system requires. Say it again. Be the person your system requires. Every habit you execute strengthens identity. Every decision you follow through reinforces who you are. Every failure to act undermines identity and collapses systems. This is why most people fail with perfect plans. They try to act outside their identity. They fight against themselves. They try to force execution without becoming the person capable of sustaining it. The systematic mind internalizes this. Execution is identity-driven. If your identity matches your system, action becomes automatic. Results become predictable. Habits compound silently. Chaos cannot penetrate. 7. Practical exercises. Daily self-affirmation. Every morning, state your identity clearly. I am disciplined. I am consistent. I am the person my system requires. Behavioral audits. At the end of each day, check if your actions reflected your identity. Adjust where necessary. Microalignment. Small, consistent behaviors reinforce identity. One workout, one completed task, one disciplined decision. These are proof to your brain that your identity is real. Your systems are mirrors of your identity. They cannot sustain actions contradictory to your core self. You can follow routines for a week, a month, even 6 months, but without an identity that supports the system, failure is inevitable. The systematic mind does not rely on motivation, willpower, or luck. It relies on identity-aligned systems. It becomes predictable. It becomes unstoppable. It becomes silent, compounding mastery. Repeat the mantra one final time. Be the person your system requires. Internalize it. Live it. Act as that person daily. Your systems will now function flawlessly, your habits will compound, and your transformation will become inevitable. Next, we will discuss the final layer of the systematic mind, turning purpose into unbreakable momentum. Chapter 10. Lock in the systematic mind. You've come a long way. You've learned to stop reacting to impulse. You've built systems. You've mastered discipline. You've cut the noise. You've aligned your identity. Now it's time to lock it all in. This is the stage where the systematic mind becomes unshakable, where everything you've learned consolidates into a single mental model, where your days, your habits, and your decisions operate predictably, efficiently, and silently. The principle is simple. Once the system is built, the system builds you. Say it again. Once the system is built, the system builds you. Think about it. Every small habit you've repeated, every structure you've implemented, every identity-aligned action you've taken, they are not just individual wins. They are components of a mental architecture that now runs on autopilot. 1. Structured days. The first layer of consolidation is your schedule. Your days are no longer chaotic sequences of random tasks. They are predictable, repeatable, and intentional. Morning routines set the tone. Focused blocks of deep work maintain momentum. Rituals reinforce priorities. Breaks are scheduled. Reflection and planning are built in. Every day is a system. Every day compounds. Every day builds your systematic mind. No more wasted energy. No more reactive chaos. No more wondering if you'll follow through. Once the system is built, the system builds you. 2. Repeatable processes. Next, all your systems now operate automatically. Your habits, workflows, and routines no longer depend on willpower or motivation. They are predictable engines that drive progress silently. Workout routines, skill practice, learning sessions, financial management, and creative work, they all repeat in a loop of disciplined execution. Errors are minimized because repetition perfects performance. Momentum compounds because processes do not stop. Progress becomes inevitable because action is automatic. Your brain no longer negotiates with chaos or distraction. Your habits and routines now do the thinking for you. Once the system is built, the system builds you. 3. High-clarity thinking. The third layer of consolidation is mental clarity. Your mind no longer drifts. Your decisions are not hijacked by emotion, impulse, or noise. You approach challenges with calm precision. You respond to problems with structured analysis, not reactive panic. You prioritize relentlessly. You focus on what matters consistently. When you combine structured days and repeatable processes with high-clarity thinking, your mind functions like a high-performance engine. It is calm, clear, and unstoppable. Your internal architecture cannot be shaken by chaos. Your systematic mind thrives under pressure, uncertainty, and complexity. Once the system is built, the system builds you. For life with a systematic mind. Imagine life after full consolidation. You wake up each day knowing exactly what matters. You move through your tasks effortlessly because your habits guide you. Decisions that once caused anxiety are now predictable, efficient, and calm. Small, consistent wins compound quietly into life-altering results. The world may still be chaotic, but you are no longer reactive. You are not at the mercy of emotion, impulse, or distractions. You are the systematic mind, calm, disciplined, and unstoppable. Your identity aligns perfectly with your systems. Your habits reinforce your values. Your routines create invisible momentum. This is the final stage of transformation. This is mastery. This is the mind that silently wins every day. 5. Practical steps to lock it in. Consolidate routines into a single system. Review your daily structure, processes, and habits. Merge them into one cohesive framework. Audit identity alignment. Ensure that every action reflects the person you intend to be. Adjust mindset or behaviors where necessary. Refine processes weekly. Small tweaks ensure systems remain precise and resilient. Systems are living structures. They require maintenance. Protect focus relentlessly. Noise will always return. Silence, digital minimalism, and prioritization are ongoing practices. Repeat mantras daily. Once the system is built, the system builds me. Internal Internalize it, live it, and let it guide every action. Consistency and repetition are the final keys. Even at the highest level, the systematic mind is maintained through disciplined execution, attention to clarity, and ruthless protection of energy. The systematic mind is not an accident. It is not a trait you are born with. It is a structure you build intentionally, one repeated action at a time. When you've consolidated all the principles of this book, structured days, repeatable processes, high-clarity thinking, you are no longer chasing results. Results chase you. The system is now the operator. The system is now the enforcer. The system is now the foundation of who you are. Once the system is built, the system builds you. Say it again. Once the system is built, the system builds you. Now you can move through life with calm decision-making, consistent progress, and a new internal architecture that cannot be shaken. You have transformed from a reactive thinker into a systematic performer. From chaotic habits to repeatable processes. From distraction-driven living to intentional, compounding mastery. If you followed this journey and want more strategies to build your systematic mind, hit that subscribe button now. Join the community of learners committed to silent, unstoppable progress. Turn on notifications because consistent action beats sporadic inspiration every time. Remember, your growth is silent, but your commitment is visible. This concludes your roadmap to mastering the systematic mind. Structured days, repeatable processes, high-clarity thinking. Once the system is built, the system builds you.